Reading a book, and I'm not sure if what I want to say is actually going to come out. My mind's a little bit all over the place because a lot of thoughts just got triggered. Reading a book about narcissism, and there are a lot of things, having grown up in a narcissistic family, that I know I just really struggle to verbalize it, especially when I'm helping other people, because it's just knowing, right? And I can identify it, but I can't describe the patterns. So let me think. When there's narcissism in a family, it involves at least one narcissist. And usually that's the mom or dad. And either both parents are narcissists, and that can take the form of two overt ones, or an overt and a covert one, or two covert ones. I think more often than not it's an overt one and a covert one. Or it can be one is a narcissist and the other one is an enabler. And so it doesn't matter which one of these the family falls into categorically. The point is, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's a self-reinforcing dynamic that is established and perpetuated. That's why it's so hard for children, right? There's so many reasons why it's so hard for children growing up in narcissistic families. It's a self-reinforcing dynamic, yes. And then we have, I need to pause and think. The child's perspective. The child is small and helpless and has to rely on the parents, right, for survival. Okay. And then also I lost it. Oh yeah. Narcissism stems from traumatic stress, right? It's a post-traumatic stress response. Not that everybody develops this response, but that's how you create a narcissist, is by traumatizing them, I believe. Anyway, and so yes, so it stems from trauma, and a staple of trauma or post-traumatic stress is that we recreate our trauma, right, unconsciously, until we realize consciously that we're recreating it, and then we have choices, but we don't have choices until we're conscious of what is happening. That said, that's why it's so murky, challenging to address, because people are in their trauma cycles and they are presenting with a lot of psychological defenses, which makes it really difficult to address head on. For one, there's all the psychological defenses, and then there's the replaying of the trauma, which is to say, for example, if I grew up with a narcissistic family unit, there were a lot of dynamics that were modeled for me. So there's the modeling, and then there's being in that system, behavioral patterns, cognitive patterns, emotional patterns have to develop within me for me to survive within that system. as such, that becomes my relational template on some level. And then I go recreating that dynamic in my relationships, especially my romantic relationships, because it all comes back to attachment styles. And I don't know what the point of that is. Oh yeah, so then the parents, right? That's how parents find each other. And then like they have to be in the trauma cycle, right? Unless they choose to heal. That's the cycle that plays out, but it's like that's what the unhealed parts need. The unhealed parts need that trauma bond, that trauma cycle to feel safe, because they feel safe in the chaos and they feel safe in the unease and the drama and the trauma. And obviously that's a really chaotic environment. So now from the child's point of view, it's really confusing, it's really murky, etc. And it's a really invalidating environment to grow up in, obviously. But like, that's how it develops. I think that's my point. I just kind of had to talk it out. I know that this might be a bit disjointed. I think it makes enough sense to post it. But like, I just wanted to throw that out there. If you're a client and you have questions about this, please feel free to bring it up to your clinician. Yeah. Thanks for watching.